The day the galaxy expected humanity to run, a single human medic chose to kneel instead. Fortress Carthon was dying. Sirens screamed across the steel corridors as alien warships tore through the sky above. The Ether Dominion had come without warning, their fleets bending space like black glass. Entire human battalions were retreating. Command had ordered full evacuation. But Dr. Orin Solis did not retreat. Orin was not a soldier. He did not carry a rifle. He carried gauze, sealant foam, and a medical scanner patched together from 3 different supply crates. He believed in pulses, not politics. And right now, his scanner showed something impossible. Under the ruins of Sector 12, beneath collapsed titanium beams, something was alive. The signal was wrong. It was too strong. Too steady. It pulsed like a star trying to beat inside a cage of broken metal. He should have ignored it. The evacuation shuttle was leaving in 3 minutes. Instead, Orin ran toward the signal. Dust filled the air like red fog. Fires burned along the corridor walls. The floor trembled with distant orbital bombardment. Every step could have been his last. Still, he followed the pulse. He found her beneath a shattered support column. At first glance, she looked like death itself. Her armor was darker than space, not black, but something deeper. It seemed to drink the light around it. Cracks spread across the surface like lightning frozen in stone. From one fracture, silver-blue energy leaked slowly, evaporating into the air. An Etherian vanguard. The elite warriors of the Dominion. The species that had crushed 6 civilizations in 1 century. Her helmet was fractured. One glowing eye flickered through the crack. Orin's breath caught. Every human soldier had been trained to fear these beings. Orin did not see a conqueror. He saw a patient. His scanner confirmed massive internal damage. Energy core instability. Hemorrhaging from at least 3 biological systems he did not understand. She was dying. Do not approach. The voice exploded inside his mind. It was not sound. It was pressure. It tasted like metal and thunder. You will be annihilated. My containment is failing. Orin swallowed. He stepped closer. Yeah, he muttered, kneeling beside her. Well, so is mine if I miss my shuttle. The beam pinning her armor weighed tons. There was no way he could lift it alone. But Orin Solis had grown up on a colony world where storms ripped buildings apart weekly. Humans survived by solving problems creatively. He scanned the beam, analyzed structural stress points, and injected expanding seal foam into fractured joints. The foam hardened instantly, redistributing weight just enough. Then he activated his portable grave assist brace. It was designed for spinal injuries. Today, it would lift alien royalty. The brace hummed. Veins stood out on his neck. Slowly, painfully, the beam shifted just enough to slide her free. She could have killed him. Even wounded, her power radiated like a star collapsing. But she didn't. Her eye focused on him instead. Why, help, she projected, weaker now. Orin pressed a stabilizer patch against the leaking fracture in her armor. The patch sizzled. His gloves smoked. Because you're hurt, he said simply. That is not logical. Yeah, he said softly. We get that a lot. Her body temperature spiked dangerously. The energy bleeding from her wound reacted violently to human materials. So Orin did something reckless. He removed his glove. He pressed his bare hand directly against the cracked armor. The reaction was immediate. The leaking energy did not burn him. It stabilized. Her breathing steadied. For the first time in centuries, Commander Vilara of the Void Legions felt something she could not define. Warmth. Not thermal warmth. Biological warmth. Human warmth. Her species communicated through psychic dominance and calculated destruction. Empathy was considered weakness. But this fragile being, shaking and coughing in the dust of a dying fortress, was shielding her with nothing but touch and stubborn will. You are insignificant, she whispered into his mind. Orin grinned weakly. Story of my life. Above them, the final evacuation shuttle roared away. He didn't look up. Instead, he focused on sealing the wound. Vilara studied him through the cracked visor. His heart rate was elevated but steady. His hands trembled but did not stop. He was afraid, she could taste it in his thoughts, yet he stayed. Her containment core pulsed again. Unstable. If it ruptured, the entire fortress would vanish. Orin saw the energy spike on his scanner. "Oh, that's not good," he breathed. "What are you?" she asked. "Human," he said. "No. What are you?" He tightened the stabilizer field. "Stubborn." Another tremor rocked the structure. The ceiling began to collapse. Vilara understood something in that moment that the Dominion High Council had never calculated. Humans did not fight because they believed they would win. They fought because someone needed them. And that made them terrifying. With the last of her strength, she activated a micro-singularity fold, not to attack, but to shield. The collapsing ceiling froze mid-air, suspended in warped gravity. Orin stared in awe. "You could have done that the whole time." "Containment failure," she answered faintly. "I required assistance." He laughed breathlessly. "You're welcome." Outside, Dominion ships began withdrawing. Sensors across the battlefield registered something impossible. Commander Vilara, the Void Empress, hidden heir to the Dominion throne, was alive. And her life signs were synchronized with a human biopattern. Deep within her mind, something ancient stirred. Not conquest. Not domination. Curiosity. For the first time in her long existence, she wondered what might happen if humanity was not erased. But understood. As Orin continued working, unaware that he was touching galactic royalty, the war shifted. Not because of weapons. Not because of strategy. But because one human medic refused to walk away from a pulse. And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, the void itself began to change. The galaxy did not fear human weapons. It feared human adaptability. 3 hours after the fall of Fortress Carthan, Dominion High Command detected something that should not have been possible. Commander Vilara, supreme heir of the Void Throne, was not only alive. Her core energy had stabilized. And it was synchronized to a Terran biological rhythm. Across the black spires of the Dominion capital, ancient beings turned their attention toward a single medical signature, Dr. Orin Solace. Back in the ruins of the fortress, Orin had no idea that half the galaxy was now watching him. He was too busy arguing with a 7-foot alien wrapped in sentient armor. "You cannot come with me," Vilara said, her voice now audible through damaged vocal emitters. Orin blinked at her. "Come with you? Lady, I just missed my ride off this rock." Her armor had partially reformed, flowing like liquid night around her body. The cracks were sealing slowly. The glow behind her visor had strengthened. She stood now, tall and imposing, yet something about her posture had changed. Less predator. More uncertain. "My fleet will return," she said. "They will cleanse this world." Orin folded his arms. "Yeah. You planning on telling them you were saved by a statistically insignificant mammal?" She paused. He had quoted Dominion propaganda perfectly. "How do you know that phrase?" she asked. He tapped the side of his head. "Intercepted broadcasts. You guys aren't subtle." In orbit, Dominion warships began recalculating. Vilara's survival triggered Protocol Ascendant, a contingency that placed her above all fleet commanders. By blood and ancient code, she was the Void Empress. She had never claimed the title. Until now. Her mind expanded outward, connecting to the fleet consciousness. Thousands of ships awaited her directive. Destroy the planet. Or withdraw. She looked down at Orin. Dust-covered. Exhausted. Bleeding from a cut above his brow. Still holding his medical scanner like it was a sacred artifact. "You risked extinction to save an enemy," she said. He shrugged. "You were dying." "That is irrelevant." "Not to me." Her species valued power above all things. Humans valued something else. It was irrational. And it was destabilizing centuries of doctrine. Across the ruins, surviving human resistance units regrouped. They expected orbital fire at any moment. Instead, Dominion ships powered down their main cannons. Confusion spread through both fleets. Vilara made her decision. All Dominion forces, her voice echoed across vacuum and steel, stand down. Shockwaves rippled through alien command structures. Generals protested. Councils demanded explanation. She silenced them with a single psychic surge. For the first time in our history, she continued, we will study the Terrans. On the ground, Orin stared as the bombardment ceased. What did you just do? He asked. She tilted her head slightly. I postponed your extinction. Cool, he said. Appreciated. But peace was not so simple. Within the Dominion ranks, not all agreed with her decision. Admiral Crethus, commander of the 7th Void Armada, viewed humanity as contamination. And he saw something dangerous. If humans could influence the Void Empress, they could weaken the Dominion. Crethus initiated a shadow protocol. If the Empress would not cleanse Earth, he would remove the Empress. Back on the surface, Orin helped Vilara stabilize further. Human medics from underground bunkers cautiously approached. Soldiers aimed rifles, unsure whether to fire or kneel. Vilara observed everything. Humans moved chaotically, but together. No psychic hive coordination. No rigid hierarchy. Yet they cooperated instinctively. Improvised triage stations formed in minutes. Engineers repurposed destroyed tanks into shield barriers. Children were evacuated first. Always the children first. This inefficiency, Vilara murmured, watching the disorder. It should cripple you. Orin gave a tired smile. It does sometimes. But it also makes us creative. As if to prove his point, human technicians reverse-engineered fragments of fallen Dominion drones within hours. Makeshift signal scramblers activated across the battlefield, blocking Dominion surveillance. Vilara felt it immediately. They adapt too quickly, she whispered. That's kind of our thing, Orin replied. In orbit, Admiral Crethus launched his strike. Not at Earth. At Vilara. A precision anti-sovereign weapon, designed centuries ago in case of internal rebellion, streaked toward the surface. Vilara sensed it too late. The weapon pierced atmosphere like a blade of white fire. Orin saw the incoming energy spike on captured Dominion scanners. That doesn't look friendly, he muttered. Vilara's containment core was still stabilizing. She could shield the blast, but it would kill her in the process. Orin's mind raced. Humans could not outgun Dominion fleets. But they could outthink them. He grabbed a portable field inverter from a wrecked shuttle, experimental tech meant to deflect plasma storms. Can this redirect singularity-based energy? He asked breathlessly. Vilara processed the device in microseconds. It was not designed for that. Yeah, I figured. The weapon descended. Seconds. Orin slammed the inverter into the ground and recalibrated its frequency using data from her energy signature, the same rhythm his body had synchronized with earlier. Trust me, he said. I do not. The blast hit. Instead of annihilation, the energy curved, bending around Vilara like light around a black hole. The redirected beam shot back into orbit. Straight into Admiral Crethus's flagship. The explosion was silent in vacuum. But every Dominion ship felt the psychic shock. A human, with scrap parts, had reversed an Imperial execution weapon. Vilara stared at Orin as the sky cleared. You weaponized compassion, she said slowly. He coughed from smoke inhalation. I weaponized physics. No, she corrected softly. You weaponized understanding. In that moment, the Dominion understood something horrifying. If humanity survived long enough, they would become unstoppable. Vilara turned her gaze toward the stars. The Council will not forgive this, she said. Orin leaned against broken stone, exhausted but smiling. Good thing we used to impossible odds. Above them, Dominion fleets began retreating. Not out of mercy. Out of uncertainty. And uncertainty was something the Dominion had never learned to handle. For the first time in galactic history, Humanity was not prey. They were a variable. And variables change everything. The moment the Dominion feared finally arrived, not when humans built bigger weapons, not when fleets collided, but when a human mind stood beside a void Empress as an equal. The Dominion Council declared Vilara corrupted. They called her contaminated, influenced, weakened. They were wrong. She was evolving. High above Earth, the remaining Dominion fleets regrouped in dark formation. The Council activated the Ancient Throne Protocol, a system older than their empire itself. If the Empress would not obey, the throne would override her consciousness. It had never failed. On the surface, Orin stood beside Vilara as human forces secured the ruined city. Emergency lights flickered against broken towers. Survivors emerged slowly from shelters. For the first time in days, the sky was quiet. But Vilara was not at peace. "They are attempting to seize my core," she said, her voice tight with strain. Orin frowned. "Like remote control?" "Yes." Her armor began to fracture again, glowing brighter than before. Energy patterns shifted violently across her surface. Orin checked his scanner. "That's not good. Your rhythm is destabilizing. They are forcing synchronization with the throne frequency." He looked up at her glowing visor. "Then don't match it. It is embedded in my biology." "Yeah," he said slowly, thinking. "So was fear in ours." She tilted her head slightly. He continued, words coming faster now. "For centuries, you built your empire on control. One mind directing many. But humans? We don't synchronize because we're forced to. We synchronize because we choose to." Her core pulsed violently again. Above them, Dominion warships aligned in geometric precision. A beam of psychic energy descended invisibly through space, locking onto Vilara's neural matrix. She staggered. Orin grabbed her arm. "You said earlier our rhythms synced," he said. "Your energy matched mine. What if we push that further?" "That would expose you to Dominion neural fire," she warned. He gave a tired smile. "Lady, I already missed my shuttle." Without waiting, he pressed both hands against her armor. He focused on something simple. Not fear. Not anger. Memory. Storms on his colony world. Neighbors rebuilding homes together. Doctors working through exhaustion. Children laughing even when skies were red with dust. Humanity did not survive because it was strongest. It survived because it refused to give up on each other. Vilara felt it all. Every imperfect, chaotic, irrational emotion. The throne protocol attempted to override her. But instead of a single dominant frequency, it encountered something unpredictable. Millions of human neural patterns were broadcasting now. The resistance network, improvised from captured Dominion tech, had linked human communication satellites to Vilara's energy signature. Engineers, scientists, civilians, all transmitting. Not commands. Support. Human minds flooded the signal. Not synchronized in control, but unified in intention. The throne had never encountered distributed defiance. Its override algorithms began to fail. In orbit, Dominion commanders stared in disbelief as their psychic beam fractured into static. "What is happening?" one demanded. A technician responded in horror. "The Terrans are harmonizing with her." On the ground, Orin felt the pressure building inside his skull. His knees buckled. Blood trickled from his nose. "This is not sustainable," Vilara warned. "Neither is extinction," he muttered. Then something extraordinary happened. Vilara stopped resisting the human signal. She embraced it. Instead of shielding herself from the chaotic storm of human thought, she opened her core fully. Her armor shattered into radiant fragments of dark light. For the first time, her true form emerged, not monstrous, not terrifying. Beautiful. Her skin shimmered like a galaxy in motion. Stars flickered beneath translucent layers. Her eyes burned not with conquest, but awareness. The void Empress had awakened. The throne protocol collapsed entirely. In orbit, Dominion ships lost central command. Fleet formations dissolved. For the first time in their history, they felt uncertainty. Vilara rose into the sky without effort. Gravity bent around her. She did not project dominance. She projected choice. "I am Vilara," her voice echoed across every Dominion channel. "Void Empress not by conquest, but by evolution." Silence answered her. "You feared humanity because they are chaotic. Because they adapt. Because they refuse to kneel." Her gaze shifted gently toward Earth below. "You were correct to fear them." Dominion commanders braced for annihilation. Instead, she continued, "But fear is not wisdom." Orin, barely standing now, watched from the broken city as she hovered like a living constellation. She extended her consciousness across Dominion fleets. And she did something no Empress had ever done. She released control. Every ship captain, every soldier, every citizen of the Dominion suddenly felt autonomy, true independence, for the first time. Panic erupted across alien networks. Choice was terrifying. But it was also liberating. "You may fight," Vilara declared. "Or you may learn." One by one, Dominion ships powered down their weapons. Not because they were forced. Because they decided. Back on Earth, human forces lowered their rifles. Orin collapsed to one knee, exhausted beyond measure. Vilara descended gently before him. "You altered the course of an empire," she said softly. He wiped blood from his lip and gave a weak laugh. "I just treated a patient." She studied him carefully. "You treated a future." Across the galaxy, signals spread rapidly. Humanity had not defeated the Dominion through brute force. They had outgrown the model of domination itself. Within months, joint human-Dominion research stations formed. Shared technology advanced faster than any war could have. Humans introduced decentralized AI governance systems. Dominion engineers contributed gravity manipulation breakthroughs. Trade routes replaced invasion corridors. And throughout it all, one truth remained undeniable. Humanity's greatest weapon was never firepower. It was empathy backed by stubborn intelligence. Years later, historians across two civilizations would study the day of the pulse, the moment a human medic refused to walk away. They would debate strategy, energy harmonics, and neural interference. But the answer was simpler than all of it. When faced with the void, humanity reached out its hand. And the void reached back. Somewhere in a quiet medical bay overlooking a peaceful skyline rebuilt from ruins, Orin Solace adjusted a stabilizer patch on a Dominion patient. Vilara watched from the doorway. "You still treat anyone who walks in," she observed. He smiled without looking up. "My shift isn't over." And in the endless expanse of space, where empires once rose through fear, a new era began. Not ruled by the strongest, but guided by those brave enough to care.